Boy, I've wanted to make this video for a long while, and I'm finally getting around to it. I really wanted to get this up a lot sooner, but again, I wanted to get a lot of play time in this game and really kind of get together everything that I've wanted to point out for NASCAR Heat 3, all the stuff I want fixed for NASCAR Heat 3, and a lot of the stuff, obviously I want added. I mean, since day one with NASCAR Heat 2, I've been throwing out ideas and fixes and stuff for Heat 3, so finally getting them together for a video. Now, I got a long list right here of stuff for NASCAR Heat 3 fixes and little improvements here and there. But I still feel like I left out a lot of stuff. So be sure to definitely comment down below what you guys want to see fixed and added for NASCAR Heat 3. Because I feel like I got a lot of stuff I left out. But I feel like I got most of the big stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and hop into it. So basically, I broke everything down into 3 big sections here. Must fixes before you add anything else. Stuff I want to see added into the career mode, and then I have a list of just little like miscellaneous quality of life upgrades and fixes and stuff kind of towards the end. So first up, the must fixes. The AI. There's a lot of issues I have with the AI in NASCAR Heat 2. First off, the pit strategy. There's nothing that has ruined more races in NASCAR Heat 2 for me is the AI pit strategy. These guys aren't pitting. Ha! Dumbasses. Oh, they're pitting. They're pitting. R.I.P. AI. RIP. So, most everybody's probably going to go about 2-3 laps down. About 2 laps down. Pretty sure I was the only car to pit under the stage caution. Like, it just doesn't even make any sense. That's definitely up there for my NASCAR Heat 3 wish list. Man, just get some more realistic strats. Like, it just does not make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I guess stage racing kind of ruined it. I mean, like, there's just so many times where they just have not pit under caution where they really need to, where they could have easily made it, but instead they ended up pitting under green, like at a short track. They go 2-3 laps down, and they're just stuck there the rest of the race. So, I mean, that has to be fixed. They gotta fix the strategies for the AI. So next up for the AI is pitting without causing a caution. It's not okay. It's about a second, so I'm still sucking a little bit of drive, but I don't think it's good enough. Oh, there's your caution.
Yellow flag, easy.
One of the biggest issues for me with AI in this game, again, it's right up there ruining races for me, is when like you got 35 cars all coming on a pit road at the same time, and they all just pile into each other, and there's always that one car that gets knocked up the track or through the infield and causes a caution. An improvement for them getting on pit road would be huge, whether, they have, like, say, 3-4 different laps where they just have, a number of guys come in instead of throwing them all on pit road at the exact same time. One thing I thought of for plate tracks, because this seems to be a really big issue, I'm still not really quite sure. This was an issue in NASCAR Heat Evolution. They end up, like, short pitting on the plate tracks, like 4 laps before the user has to pit. Not sure what causes that, but it would be really cool to see them, for one, fix that, and for 2, have kind of like what they do in real life. You'll see a lot of the Toyota guys kind of pit all together on the plate tracks. That way they can get in and get out all together, and they can form up a group, once they get back onto the track to, further advance themselves on the track. Because, again, it's all about the draft and who can get a bigger group. So you'd see a lot of the Fords come in, a lot of the Chevy teammates come in, and then you have, like, the backmarker scrubs. They kind of tag on to, like, a Toyota group or a Chevy group or something like that. So it'd be cool to kind of see that instead of just throwing 35 cars down on the pit road at the same time, just so they can stack up and one get turned around and cause a caution. That would be great to kind of smoothen that out a little bit. Next up is the AI at the plate tracks. Really just the racing. I almost thought that the plate racing in NASCAR Heat 2 was worse versus NASCAR Heat Evolution. NASCAR Heat Evolution's problem was that all the cars spaced out really bad. It wasn't realistic. NASCAR Heat 2, they brought the plate racing, they brought the like grouped up like packs, which was great, but man, there's just no racing when it comes to NASCAR Heat 2 and the plate tracks. Like, you got all the cars in their line, and it just looks like all the outside cars, like, they never really get three lines going. For one, it doesn't work. For two, they're just like that outside line. It just looks like they're force their way into the bottom line the entire race. It just doesn't feel like there's any racing going on. It just seems like all the AI cars are trying to fit into the bottom line, and they're just kind of riding. There's no real racing going on. None of the lanes get moving. It just doesn't seem like there's really any momentum. So again, none of the lanes can get moving. You can't make a third line, and not to mention, one of the things that pisses me off the most is that none of the AI cars will push you unless they're your rival. That pisses me off a lot. So I'd love to see a fix for that in NASCAR Heat 3, an improvement in that. But I feel like this goes for a lot of the other tracks, like a lot of the mile and a half, 2 milers. Like, again, there's just not a lot of racing. They just kind of ride single file. Some of the cars just kind of slip under the others. It doesn't feel like, especially at some of the multi-group tracks like Atlanta, Auto Club, Homestead, where there's obviously more than one lane. I mean, there's up to 3, 4, 5 lanes in some of the tracks. I'd love to see just more racing out of the AI cars because, again, it has that stale feel where there's just, you got one line and all the AI cars are doing the best to fall in that one line and just kind of ride. It just, it doesn't, you don't have that racing feel. You're not really racing. It doesn't feel like you're racing against the AI. You're just kind of, well, you are, but everybody else is riding while you're just trying to get through them all. So I'd love to see an improvement in that. And just be able to race a little bit more, to really race the AI and have them actually race other AI. I don't know. It's just the AI need a huge rework in NASCAR Heat 3 for me, and that's just part of it. Now, next on my list is the rival system. This, I feel like, ruined the game for me the absolute most in NASCAR Heat 2. Now, let me give props to NASCAR Heat 2 because it was great that they brought the rival feature back. My problem with it is it sucked. I mean, I'm so tired of going to Daytona and Talladega, trying to get right hooked and pushed below the double yellow line at play tracks. We're going 200 miles an hour. Even like Michigan, we're going 2.5 at a turn 1. They're still trying to right hook me. They just don't give a damn. I'd love to see them rework that. And again, like you can't even. I believe they actually patched this. At first, you couldn't, like, they didn't change, right? Once they became your rival, they stayed your rival. You couldn't work back the other way. They added it. And they patched it, I believe, at some point while the game was released to the point to where it could regress and you could, the rival would decay after a while, but it just took way too much time and it was almost near impossible once you had a rival to, make friends again. So, I mean, just tone down the rivals. Just a little bit for me, please. Next up on the list, how about let's get the rules right. Now, this is one thing that always irritates me when it comes to any game like this where you've got like a clear set of rules, right? Now, I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm going to say here, but the biggest thing, and this just blows my mind that this never got fixed. It's still like this. I mean, they put some great patches in the game that really improved it, but they never fixed this. If you're racing on the white flag, the last lap of the race, and a caution comes out, it doesn't end the race. How does it not end the race? Here we go. White flag. One more lap to go. We're looking for our 9th win on the season. And, boy, we had a rough time with the rivals pretty early. But once this thing kind of got strung out, it went green. Oh, man, it's been all smooth sailing from here. Not quite going to get to Timmy Hill. Who is this up here? Corey LaJoy and Jay. Oh, no, Timmy Hill's just that slow. We are going to get to him. Yeah, let me put you one more lap down. Timmy Hill. First off, how did that get missed on release day? I maybe understand that. But how did it get through all those patches where it never got fixed? To the point now where they're working on NASCAR Heat 3 and it still never got fixed. They patched some stuff, they fixed some stuff. This never got fixed. I don't know how it's a clear rule in NASCAR and you got it wrong. It works in overtime, but it doesn't work, just on the last lap of the scheduled race. So for NASCAR Heat 3, please do me one thing. Get the rules right. That should be a given. Next on my list, fix the difficulty. A lot of people have had issues with this. The game is too easy. That's all I got to say. Now, this I threw into the must fixes. I think this is you got to have this in NASCAR Heat 3. NASCAR Heat Evolution didn't. NASCAR Heat 2 had a little bit of it, but we have to get a full paint booth. I felt like I want to say they said they were going to add something like this in NASCAR Heat 2. While they did, I thought they said they were going to add like a full released version of the paint booth in NASCAR Heat 2 at some point. They added kind of like what we have now to, kind of sit there for the first, little while they figured it out for the most part to add it later in the game. That never really happened, so hopefully we see that for NASCAR Heat 3, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are really talented and who are really, really good when it comes to painting cars and stuff like that. I'm not one of them. I suck at painting stuff, but it would be really, really cool for those people to be able to create cars, create paint schemes, and for some of the people just to, create their own car for online or career mode or something like that. We got to have that for NASCAR Heat 3. A lot of people have really, really been missing that, and it's time. We got to have it for NASCAR Heat 3. So I feel like that's pretty much all I've got for like the stuff you have to fix, the stuff you have to improve before you go in and add anything new to the game. That's one of the biggest things with me when it comes to video games like this. Like you gotta settle out the easy stuff first. Fix some stuff and get some stuff under control before you go out and start making and adding a bunch of other things. Because once you start doing that, like, it's cool and all. I love, obviously we all want the big fancy modes and features to be added to the game, but a game can easily be ruined with a lot of little things, little bugs, a lot of issues with the game. And I feel like NASCAR Heat 2 was kind of that way. I thought it could have been a really, really solid game, but they just left a lot of things unpolished. They left a lot of bugs that shouldn't have been in the game, should have been patched out of the game, and never really got there. So for me, get all that stuff out of the way, and let's work on some cool stuff for NASCAR Heat 3. Now we're going to go on to career mode here. So kind of picking up on what I left off with in the must fixes, the paint booth. Now this is something I think would be really cool if, say, we get the full paint booth, right? People are creating paint schemes. It would be so cool to have a feature, kind of like if you guys are on iRacing, they have trading paints. You paint your paint schemes, you upload them to like a community kind of thing. That way people can use your paint schemes that you designed. I think that would be such a cool feature. Again, a lot of talented people out there, a lot of people who create replicas, throwbacks, stuff like that. That would be really cool to be able to upload it to like a community kind of thing. That way people could use your paint schemes like in career mode online, stuff like that, and kind of, share their paint schemes with everybody else using the game. Adding on to painting your car, we got to have more customization when it comes to the numbers. NASCAR Heat 2 and NASCAR Heat Evolution, we only had like 4 numbers to choose from. Hopefully they can add in all the other ones that aren't being used in the game. Also, more fonts would be fantastic because the ones they got are pretty darn ugly in NASCAR Heat 2. Adding on to that even further, it would be really cool to be able to use the same font that your teammates use. I don't even know if that's really possible, but say you sign on, with a team, it would be great to use the same font as your teammate. That way it kind of matches up. I think that'd be pretty darn cool. Again, I don't know if that's possible, but if it is, that would be great. More sponsors would be great. They had some good ones for NASCAR Heat 2. They added some, but the ones they added over time were kind of lame, like the 704 logos, Richmond Raceway logos. It was okay, but I was really hoping, I think a lot more people were hoping as well that they would come out with a lot more sponsors other than just Richmond and 704 games. Again, adding on to some of that with your custom car. One of the biggest things for me in the career mode, you want it to have that personal feel, right? That's one of the things that at least keeps me coming back and playing a game with the career mode, is that you want your own, personal kind of unique feel to it. So why don't you let us like enter your name in the game? Like, you can't name your own driver. Like, your name is nowhere in the game whatsoever. So, while you get your username in there, you can't add your name to your car. You can't do any of that. Let us be able to put our names, on the little name rail there on the back windshield. It'd be cool to maybe add your name to the name rail or something like that. I don't know if they could do that, but just little stuff like that. Even when they, like, the drivers send you tweets and stuff like that. How about instead of like at your username, like your actual name? That would be a nice little feature. For career mode in NASCAR Heat 3, we have to have upgrades. This is one of the few things that absolutely blew my mind with NASCAR Heat 2. We had NASCAR Heat Evolution. That had upgrades. We went to NASCAR Heat 2, which was supposed to be a big improvement, which it was. But how did we not have upgrades? We regressed in that feature. how did we not have upgrades in career mode? I picked a 3-star team all 3 seasons in Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup, and I could not get any faster whatsoever. How? That blows my mind. How is that not a thing? I mean, at least copy and paste it from NASCAR Heat Evolution. I would imagine that's probably not how it works, but like you didn't have to do anything more. Like I just can't believe they would take something like that out of the game. That's huge in career mode. It just blows my mind that didn't make it to NASCAR Heat 2. I don't know what they were thinking when it came to that. Now, assuming they add upgrades to NASCAR Heat 3, which they better, it would be great to see now F1 2017. I thought did really good with this. It was really confusing at first, but the more and more I got into it, I loved it because it was really, really deep. Now, I don't feel like it needs to be too terribly deep for NASCAR Heat 3. Again, they didn't even have it for NASCAR Heat 2. Take a page out of F1's notebook in this. I thought they did really good with this. Again, they have a whole reliability segment of it, and then, of course, they got different features of the car. So reliability would be a really cool deal, and this brings me to a whole another point on stuff they could do. I mean, when you get to this stuff, I mean, the possibilities are absolutely endless. Reliability would be an awesome feature. That way, you could have a whole season, and you could develop. I mean, NASCAR 2004, I thought did this great. I mean, you can have like your chassis, your engines, your bodies for like the whole season. And of course, you can go back and develop more parts. You can also make them better over the course of the season. I mean, you can do like so much stuff like that. You can add more pieces and parts to the puzzle when it comes to that stuff. I mean, they said they're gonna make the career mode really, really deep for NASCAR Heat 3. It appears so. Hopefully, they sort of kind of go that route again. The more and more stuff they can bring when it comes to development and reliability. I even threw out the possibility of maybe even short tracks. You see a lot of brake issues on short tracks. That'd be really like an in-race kind of thing where you use up too much of your brakes at some point in the race. Your brakes don't work so well for the rest of it, right? And of course, if you're with a smaller team, you have the possibility of completely losing your brakes or just part failures or something like that. That would be fantastic for smaller teams. And then another feature NASCAR Heat Evolution actually had that again NASCAR Heat 2 didn't. Sponsors would be great to bring those back. That way you can have kind of sponsor contracts. That would be awesome to have. That way you get sponsored money. You can work on your car with that. Little things like that and incentives. You run well, you get better contracts. And also, if you don't run well, they might terminate you. But that would be really cool to have different sponsors come in there and play different factors. Hell, I even threw out the possibility, I doubt they go this far, but it would be a great idea for maybe a future game. Say you go out there for practice or qualifying, you crash the car, you got to roll out a backup. Ideally, that would hurt you, throughout the season, especially on a smaller team, smaller budget. You don't want to tear up a car in practice or qualifying. So, possibilities are endless with that. Tie in sponsor money and other, moving parts and pieces throughout the career mode. So I think that would be a great feature. And I think done well, that could really tie together to make a solid career mode. Next on the list, I like the idea of momentum. I feel like I remember before NASCAR Heat 2 came out, they kind of talked about it, and I thought it was actually going to be a big deal. Instead, it turned out to be probably one of the lamest features that I'd ever seen. What is it? You run 3 races, you get top 10, top 5, and 3 races in a row, and you get a 10% speed boost, and it never gets any better than that. And if you have a bad race, you'll lose it. That has to be one of the lamest things I've ever seen. I'd love to see him go a lot deeper with that in NASCAR Heat 3. Next up for career mode, burnouts, victory celebrations. Do I need to say any more? Next up, hot seats. Now, hot seats I thought they did pretty good with in NASCAR Heat 2, but I'd like them to go a step further. Now, I feel like this would be really good to make the NASCAR Heat career mode, the feel of it be a little bit more unique. So how it worked in NASCAR Heat 2 was you started off in the truck series. You ran hot seats one at a time for a different team each time. And it went all the way up from Xfinity to Cup. What I'd like to see is for it to be a little bit more realistic. Let's be honest, nobody's going to go up through the Cup Series and kick anybody out like Jimmy Johnson or anybody out for one race. I'd like to see them kind of keep it to smaller teams from trucks to, Cup Series. And instead of a one-race deal, I'd like to see maybe a 4-race, 8-race, 12-race kind of deal. And also have the chance or a possibility to have like another team kind of come in and like, say you're not racing for your hot seat team, you pick up another race or two for another team, might give you another chance there. It might give you the opportunity to run a full season, but with different teams. Almost kind of like what Austin Cindric's doing in real life in the Xfinity Series. He's racing for Penske, and then for Roush, I believe. So kind of bouncing from team to team and kind of putting together a full-time season. Now, it would be cool to see them do something like that, but then keep it random. So that way, you might only get like an 8-race deal in the season. You might do good enough. You might get a 12-race. Or like split the season in half with 2 different teams, or maybe 3 different teams, or some people get like a full season, some people get like only maybe a half or a quarter season, but still get ride offers in the end, kind of something like that. So kind of change it up, and it goes all the way from Xfinity to Cup. It would be great to see, just kind of keeping the hot seats random, right? That way everybody kind of gets a unique feel, a unique experience, kind of coming up through the ranks. Now, a lot of people threw around ideas of more series like K&N, Modified, stuff like that. That I'm not really big on, just because I feel like this game has a lot of issues they need to work on and continue to work on before they go ahead and add a whole nother series. I don't think they're there yet. It would be great, don't get me wrong, especially if they can do it, but I just don't feel like they're there yet. So maybe one day, but I don't think NASCAR Heat 3 is the time. Now, here's a really, really big one for me and a lot of other people out there who run career mode, and that is the stats. One of my all-time favorite NASCAR games, NASCAR Thunder 2004, I thought did this beautifully. We go to the stats here. Let's look through this. I thought they did this so beautifully, and I'd love to see just a copy and paste from this and just plop it right into the NASCAR Heat 3. You got your schedule with race winners. You got standings. And you can go through here. They got all their earnings and all the points they're behind and what place they're in. Wow, you can also click on one of the drivers, go through all their stats from previous seasons. You'll also get a little bit of information on the drivers themselves. I mean, look at this. Poles, wins, top 5s, top 10s, average start, average finish, best finish, points, and standings, all from previous seasons. Another thing I'd love to see them bring to the game, this I always thought was really, really cool, the little weekly awards, the pole award, front runner, picking up places, fast pace, rookie of the race, move of the race, stuff like that is really, really cool, and it just adds that just a little bit more to the career mode. Again, this would be cool. Again, you're with a smaller team, well, hell, maybe you get a lucky pole award or a hard charger award, stuff like that. Money goes to your team. Gives you a little bit of a boost if you can get it, if you can achieve it. Again, that would be a nice little addition. Next on the list for career mode is better ratings for the teams and the cars. It was kind of lame in NASCAR Heat 2. It was 3 to 5 stars. Obviously 3 being the worst, 5 being the best. I'd like to see him go a little bit deeper with that. Again, I drove for 3-star teams for NASCAR Heat 2 for all 3 series, and I felt like I was a 1-star team. Compared to at least the other 3-star teams, I was significantly slower than a lot of the other 3-star teams, especially on the straightaways. I'd like to see him go a little bit deeper with that instead of maybe go like 1 to 5 stars. One cool thing I always thought, I believe it was NASCAR 2008, where they had ratings for each like different kind of track, like road courses, short tracks, all the way up to super speedways. So it would be cool to see, go a little bit deeper with that for some of the teams, and that way you can kind of make, like, if you're better at short tracks, like I feel like I am, I would want to sign with maybe or move to a team that had better short track ratings with their cars, and obviously you could kind of upgrade that with different upgrades and car pieces throughout the season. Again, just something else to kind of add a little bit more depth to the career mode. I feel like that's something they can't do enough to career mode, is just continue to add little things to add depth. Because depth, for me, keeps you playing career mode. Now, one thing I kind of like with the career mode in NASCAR Heat 2 was you got like little video messages and tweets from some of the real life drivers. Now, while they were pretty lame, I do like the fact that they have some interaction with some of the real drivers that they're throwing into their game. Obviously, I'd like to see them expand on that a little bit more. And please, if we're going to do this again, change up the script a little bit. Because I swear to God, if I have another driver send me a video message that tells me to reel it in, I might lose my shit.
Hey, I just want to let you know, some of the guys don't like the way you're driving out there. You're all over the place. You got to reel it in, because if you don't, you're going to start making some enemies.
hey man, you're all over the place out there. You gotta calm it down, reel it in a little bit. You're gonna make it a lot tougher on yourself.
Hey, I want to let you know some of the guys out there don't like the way you're driving. You're all over the place. You got to reel it in, because if you don't, you're going to start making some real enemies.
You gotta reel it in. I guess everybody gets that clip. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, I know. I know.
Every week you're running into stuff. Everybody's getting upset. If you don't reel it in a little bit, you're probably gonna be sitting out.
Reel it in. Here we go. Hashtag reel it in. Every darn video. Other than that, though, I really do like the fact that they're getting some of the real-life drivers involved. I'm not really sure how to go, beyond that. Again, first thing that comes to my mind is what a lot of the bigger games are doing is kind of cutscenes. I don't think they're there to that point to kind of throw them in digitally and scan them into the game and kind of have cutscenes with your driver. But maybe in the future, I'm not sure. Next up, exhibition races. Oh boy, one that a lot of people really want to see for NASCAR Heat 3. One thing that I'm not really sure how it hasn't made it to NASCAR Heat Evolution or NASCAR Heat 2. But yeah, we gotta get the All-Star race back. We gotta get the duels. We gotta get the clash. That would be some great, I feel like, simple kind of features to add to the career mode. The All-Star race would be a really cool deal. Again, adding a little bit more depth to the career mode. Say you sign with a bad team, there's always that chance you could race your way in via the All-Star Open to the All-Star race. Or hell, I mean, if you're going to have a rival system, you could always have I can't remember what game did it, but they had kind of like a meter for your fans, whether you're a legend or really hated. So that would be cool to even maybe have like a random kind of fan vote, and depending on how you are compared to your fans, how much your fans like you. You might get the fan vote, you might not. If you don't race your way in, I think that would be a really cool deal. But again, either way, if you win the All-Star race, you get $1 million that you could maybe throw back into your team. I don't know. Last but not least in the career mode. Oh, I believe 2004 was the last game to have this. Please bring back the trophy room. Absolutely love that feature. There's something about it. Winning in a race and getting to add a trophy to your trophy room. Obviously, everybody wants to fill it up. Everybody wants to get the championship trophy to add in there. NASCAR Heat, they love to brag about their licensed trophies. They have them for all the races. It's a no-brainer. If you're going to have all the licensed trophies that you get for each Cup Series victory, throw them into the trophy room. Why not? That's just another reason why I love Thunder 2004. If any of the developers are out there watching this, I will volunteer my PS2 and my copy of NASCAR Thunder 2004. I will send it to your headquarters. I want you guys to plug that in and just take in all the beautiful stuff we do with that game and implement it into NASCAR Heat 3. I guarantee you, if you can get like a quarter of what they have in their career mode, it will hugely benefit your career mode. So going on down the list here, kind of on the last little segment here. Again, I don't know how long this will be. If it's way too long, I apologize, but I've had a lot of this stuff cooking in me for a while that I've wanted to get off my chest. So this is kind of the miscellaneous stuff, the quality of life little improvements that I'd like to see. Huge issue I have with NASCAR Heat 2. Give me the ability to scroll through the leaderboard during the race. When you're racing under green, you get a little leaderboard, top left. Let me scroll up and down because I want to see who the top 5 is. I want to see where they're running in comparison to me and some of the other drivers. That would be awesome. Thank you. One of the biggest beefs I have with NASCAR Heat 2, when the caution comes out, it tells me how many laps are left. It does not tell me how many laps are left in this stage. I have blown so many calls because I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention to the last lap. I don't know exactly how many laps we got to go. I've blown so many calls because I had to guess because I didn't have it right there on the screen to tell me how many laps are left in the stage to make an accurate call. That has to be there. A lot of people have been throwing around the idea of a 360 cam. I want to say that the Technics games had. I only played one of them, and that was 2011, and I never bought another one after that. I don't have a problem with that. Again, not really something I desire. I got the rear view. You can kind of see towards the sides. If they want to add it, great. Doesn't really matter to me, but just an idea. Now, one of the biggest things for me, and I feel like a lot of the content creators that do NASCAR Heat 2 will agree with me, F1 2017, another great feature that they have. It took me like 2.5, 3 seasons to figure this one out. What's beautiful for this, and again, a lot of the content creators I feel like will kind of be with me on this one, is a photo mode. That way you can go back to the replay, you can get them nice thumbnails, them sexy thumbnails. If we get a photo mode where you can kind of go all the way around the track and get a nice shot of what you want, that would be beautiful. That's kind of a quality of life thing for me as a YouTuber. I'd love to be able to get further customization on my thumbnails and get a better shot. NASCAR Heat 2, you're kind of stuck to the far chase camera or just the default TV cams. So for me, that would be beautiful. Also, a small thing in the replay, instead of fast forwarding through the whole thing, if you could go like lap by lap and just kind of click through the laps instead of fast forwarding the whole thing, make the process go a little bit quicker. Now the next one here is kind of going to be a two-parter. I've got DNFs written down. Now the biggest thing for me is DNFs, I don't want them to be a thing if the car contact is as bad as what it was in NASCAR Heat 2. I'm still sick of being like just clipped in the left rear by a rival and being sent right. Like the car contact is crazy and the cars just get flung all over the place when there's car contact, at least to me. Now, again, the same thing kind of happens with AI. They don't freak out. They kind of put on different rules. Another thing I like to be kind of, seem to be kind of polished up. But again, the car contact is not very good. With that being said, I don't want DNFs in NASCAR Heat 3 to be a thing because, again, it's so easy to wreck very, very badly in this game. It's very easy for that to happen the way the car contact is. If they polish that up a little bit and make it a lot easier to kind of beat and bang like you should, DNFs I don't have a problem with. And that also goes to the rival system too. If they clean that up, if it's the same way it is in NASCAR Heat 2, in NASCAR Heat 3, I definitely do not want DNFs to be a thing. But at the end of the day, I'd definitely like to see it become more realistic. So hopefully if they could polish a lot of the little things that come into play with NASCAR Heat 2 and you crashing a lot and me crashing a lot, I would definitely like to see DNFs eventually become a thing. Adding on to that, red flags. I don't really mind. It'd be kind of cool, like after a crazy crash, people flipping everywhere up in the catch fence and whatever, just like everybody kind of parked down the back straightaway, and they do kind of like a cam that kind of pans past everybody, and then they go back to caution. I think that would be a nice little feature. That's one I'm kind of throwing in there. Next, I've kind of seen a lot of people talk about track maps. For me, I don't really feel the need for one. Again, unless maybe a road course, but I mean, I feel like there's only 3 road courses now on the schedule with the Roval, but I feel like the layouts aren't that complicated. The only other thing I could think of is that way you could see the little cars on the track and see if anybody's piling up in front of you or kind of where they're running. I still don't really feel the need for it, so I'm going to say it's a no for me, but if they're going to add it, it's whatever. But if they are going to add it, I'd like a feature, or I'd like to be able to go into the settings and turn it off because I don't need it. Next thing on my list, F1 2017 does this beautifully. So they have a little thing when you're coming off in a pit road. They really need it because I never know what the timing lines there are. But in NASCAR Heat 2, they usually have a cone sometimes. Sometimes they don't. It's really hard to definitively find the pit road timing line, that first timing line, so you can get it down to speed. If they could add something like F1 2017 has, where they have kind of like a countdown kind of little bar that gets you down all the way to the timing line, that would be fantastic. Again, some of the tracks got like 6 lines on the apron before you get to the actual timing line. Just a little quality of life kind of thing for me. Next on the list is DLC. Now here's the huge thing for me. And this is only for really the next year DLC. In NASCAR Heat Evolution, we had the 2017 update. In NASCAR Heat 2, we had the 2018 update. I love that. That's fantastic, especially when the next game isn't coming out until September. With that being said, what was it, $10 for both years, and you get all the Cup Series cars for the next year. So you can't use that online, and you have to start over your career mode to use that in career mode. That's ridiculous. For $10, I want to be able to use those cars online, and I want to be able to continue my career mode. Like if I finish a season, I want the option to do the next season on the 2018 update. It shouldn't be that hard, and that absolutely should be included in NASCAR Heat 3. So next on the list is patch notes. So one cool thing they did with NASCAR Heat 2, when you went to the home screen, they had a little thing top right of the screen where you could press, what was it, X? It would open up a thing where it kind of gave, like one race weekend, it would give you like the TV schedule, I believe. They had other little like news segments on there as well. I thought that was really cool. One thing I'd like to see them do, and this is kind of a two-parter, they did some great things with patches, and little updates after the game was released. I'd love to see them put the patch notes there. I don't believe they did that this year, but I'd love to see that. That way it kind of keeps everybody updated on what they're updating and what they're patching. Now, my two-parter to this is that I was a bit disappointed with the developers and the lack of stuff they fixed. Taking me back to the beginning of the video, that damn rule. You can't tell me they couldn't have patched that. They couldn't have sat down for a day and patched that and fixed that for NASCAR Heat 2. When the caution comes out on the white flag of the race, it doesn't end the race. It's like I was 200 feet away from winning the race and the caution came out and I had to do another restart. That's ridiculous. That's not the rule. That is, they just straight messed up the rules right there. That needs to be fixed. I absolutely think they should have patched that, and that should have been fixed for NASCAR Heat 2 at some point throughout. Like, I understand if they missed that, before the release of the game, that's cool. But make sure it gets fixed at some point. I just felt like while they did kind of fix the rival system, they made it to where the rivals can decay after a while. I still feel like they could have continued to patch that and balance it out a little bit more. And that goes for some other stuff as well. I'm sure they could have done some more stuff here and there, but I just feel like this is a NASCAR Heat Evolution. I feel like the developers kind of gave up on the game a little bit too early. On the flip side of that, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever if they're going to knock the next game out of the park. Looking back at it, I was a little bit disappointed with NASCAR Heat 2 because that's what they did with NASCAR Heat Evolution. They kind of gave up on the game a little bit early to start work on NASCAR Heat 2. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but I felt like NASCAR Heat 2 was a bit unfinished. They had a lot of issues with the game and a lot of things that weren't ever fixed. So again, hopefully they knock it out of the park with NASCAR Heat 3. I absolutely will not have a problem that they gave up on NASCAR Heat 2 a little bit early to give us a great game for NASCAR Heat 3. Next up is better graphics, day-to-night transitions. I've never really been big about graphics. I don't really care what the game looks like. I think a lot of people give NASCAR Heat 2 crap for the graphics. For me, it's not really that big of a deal. As long as the game is fun to play and it plays well, I could care less what it looks like. But hey, if they can improve the graphics, great. But again, I just don't feel like... I feel like they need to work more on the core mechanics of the game and how the AI race and some of the other little bugs that really make up the game, other than just how it looks. That was one of my letdowns with the first Project Cars. I felt like that game looked beautifully, but the game didn't play all that great. But that was just my opinion. But again, I don't want it to be one of those games where they're more concerned about the graphics than they are the gameplay. Day-night transitions, something iRacing doesn't even have, but it would be a cool feature for races like the Coke 600, the season finale, and Homestead, and there's a lot of other races where you have day-to-night transitions. I think that would be a really great feature. Again, I don't know how hard it is to bring that to NASCAR Heat. Again, it's something iRacing doesn't even have. I believe they're working on it, but that would be a great feature as well. A little quality of life thing. This is for championship mode. My only one for championship mode. It would be great, especially since this game is coming out around when the playoffs start in September. That would be beautiful to have it to where you can run championship mode, but you can edit and put in the drivers you want in the playoffs. That way, say I want to do a series with the 16 drivers who are going to be in the playoffs in real life and recreate it in NASCAR Heat 2, I can do that. Or I could just throw in a bunch of scrubs like Timmy Hill and DJ Kennington and just, run it and see who ends up the champion. So it'd be cool to kind of play around with that, just something pretty small. Actually, I've got one more for championship mode, and I don't feel like it would be too terribly hard to achieve, but it would be cool to run a championship mode with old playoff formats or old points formats. That way you could run the original chase format, or you could run even before the chase was a thing. That would be kind of cool. Again, that would be, I feel like it'd be something pretty simple to do. Again, is it really up there on the list of things that need to be accomplished for NASCAR Heat? No, but it'd be a pretty cool feature. And the last little thing I have here is just for online. I don't really run too much online other than streams I do with subs and stuff like that. So I know a lot of people run online. I don't know what you guys want for online. At least for me, one cool thing, again, it's just for me, but to be able to run a fixed setup that way, Again, something iRacing has. I mean, it's pretty simple. You hop into a lobby, you have a predetermined setup. That way, everybody is stuck using it. Honestly, I just want to make it to where everybody can run the boat setup in Martinsville. Everybody can hop in, and that's what the setup is, and then we can all try to, use the boat setup at Martinsville. Also, when I'm hosting a lobby, I'd love to be able to kind of switch stuff around in the lobby, like the series and laps and stuff like that, without making a new lobby. That would be a huge quality of life update. That way, if I'm hosting a truck lobby, I can switch it to Xfinity or Cup without having to boot everybody out or without having to leave and then start a new one. That would just be way easier. And the last thing for online really is just to improve servers and connection for players. Again, when it comes to stuff like this, there's always room for improvement. It's not really that big on the list for me, but just looking at online, I mean, I'm sure they can improve it some sort of bit, so why not? Well, if you're still watching, I think that about does it. Gosh, a lot of stuff for the career mode wish list. Again, a lot of this is just stuff I'd like to see fixed. But a lot of stuff, I mean, there's some stuff I didn't even talk about because I don't even think it's achievable in NASCAR Heat 2. I tried as best I could to keep this the most realistic as possible. I've seen some crazy ideas out there. NASCAR Heat, if you haven't played the games, NASCAR Heat and NASCAR Heat 2, from what I understand, they're a pretty small team. A lot of the crazy stuff, obviously, they can't do it. And they only have so much time to get everything together for each year. So, again, I try my best to keep it as realistic as possible. Again, I would imagine a lot of this stuff is not achievable in the time they have. And sadly, I feel like I got this out still pretty late. I mean, while they still have a couple of months, quite a few months before this comes out, I wanted to get it out as soon as possible. I wish I would have got it out a little bit sooner. But hopefully this helps in some sort of way. At the end of the day, I just want to help make these games a little bit better as best I possibly can. Hopefully a developer sees this. Hopefully they get an idea or they do something based off this video, because that's all I really want. So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you did. It helps me out a ton. But do be sure to comment down below what you liked, what you didn't, what you agree with, what you don't. And if there's anything I missed, be sure to comment down below and let me know, because I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff. But there you have it. Really excited for NASCAR Heat 3, and I'm going to be on it heavy when it comes out. So daily uploads, and I definitely want to get around to streaming online as soon as the game comes out. So expect a lot of online lobbies. So make sure you subscribe. Keep you updated on some NASCAR Heat 3 when that gets going. But I also got some NASCAR Heat 2. I still stream online lobbies, so make sure you come out to those. I usually do them once a week, so make sure you stay subscribed. And you can hit that bell icon. I hear it doesn't do much these days, but every once in a while it sends you out a notification when I go live or something like that. So, but anyways, I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, I love you guys as always, and I'll see you all in the next video.